Optimization funnel stage 2. So this is where we're going to start to introduce lookalike targeting and optimization on the add to cart pixel. So firstly, let's talk about the criteria for progressing to stage 2 of the optimization funnel. So we've let stage 1 run for around 4 or 5 days at this point. And I should note that you don't obviously have to let it run for 4 to 5 days. If it's run for a couple of days and you're getting no traffic to your website and nothing's really happening, there's no engagement with the ads, then you don't need to keep pouring in money in the hope that it's going to be a winner. Okay, so you don't have to wait for 4 to 5 days. In fact, it's prudent to maybe spend $20 or $30 on your ads and check what's happening at that point, see if there's interaction, see if you're making the odd sale, and you can make a decision at that point as to whether it's worth running for 4 to 5 days. Okay. However, let's assume that you have run stage 1 for 4 or 5 days. You need to be at break-even point or better on that first stage, and at least within some of the ad sets that you've set up. Okay, so you need to see ad sets that are breaking even or better on stage 1. And you want to have had at least 100 clicks to your product page. And again, I want to see paid a maximum of 50 cents per visitor. So that means if you've spent $100 during stage 1, I'd like to have seen 200 clicks to the product page. And then I would like to have seen, for those 200 clicks to the product page, I'm assuming as a kind of round number that my product is going to convert at around 5%. So from those 200 visits, I'd like to have seen 10 sales, which would then bring me back in terms of profit. Let's say I'm making, again, round numbers, $10 profit. Those 10 sales will have made me back $100, which is the same as I paid in ads. So that's how you get your break even on stage 1. Okay. So again, I should highlight at this point, the numbers and all of these things, they're not hard and fast rules, which is why I've emphasized that this whole thing is an ad philosophy rather than an exact strategy that's going to be the same every time. So when you run through stage 1, you have to be using common sense to dictate how long you keep it running for. Okay. You have to also bear in mind how much money you're willing to spend to test a product. Okay. But do bear in mind that often you will need to be willing to spend at least $20, $30, $40 before you have any idea whether a product's actually going to take off. Okay. But the beautiful thing about promoting your own store and building your own retargeting audiences is that every visitor is a piece of data that you get to keep. Okay, so if we break even on stage 1, that is great, because even if we don't bother progressing to the later stages of optimization, we still have our retargeting audiences we built. We still have the email addresses of people who purchased. So we know at this point that we're in profit. Okay, and then by progressing through to the later stages of the optimization funnel, we are going to make these front-end ads a lot more profitable. Okay, so that's the overall criteria for progressing to stage 2. So given that we have all of these things in place, how are we going to target for stage 2? Well, the first thing we're going to do is build a lookalike audience, a 1% lookalike audience, which is the smallest and tightest targeted of all the lookalike audiences. We're going to build that audience off our visitor custom audience. And we know already that will have at least 100 people in it, because the criteria for progressing to here was to have at least 100 clicks to your product page. So make sure that your visitor custom audience has at least 100 people in it. And if it does, you will be able to create your lookalike audience. If it's less, you will not be able to create that lookalike audience. So create the lookalike audience, and I'll show you again how to do this in a video directly following this. And that will be one of your targeting groups. It should have somewhere in the region of 2 million people in it. You can then use as the targeting groups, again, the broad interests. So you can look at the broad interests from stage 1 that were working particularly well. And similarly with precise interests, you can use the interests from stage 1 that worked well. You can also, at this stage, because it looks like you found a campaign you're going to progress with, you can go and do more work around digging out interests to target. You can also do combinations of your lookalike audience and your interests. So you can take the lookalike audience you built and add a broad interest, or add a group of precise interests, just so long as your end audience is over 1 million in size again. The overall idea again here is to create 4 or 5 different audiences to target in this stage. In the ad setup, we're going to use the same campaign that we created in stage 1, because remember, as your campaign progresses, you're getting campaign level optimization from Facebook. So Facebook is already getting an idea at this point of who your visitors, add to cart and purchasers are for this particular product, and it will be applying this knowledge into the optimization for your new ads. For the ad sets, this time we will be optimizing on the add to cart pixel, as we are now starting to get enough data for Facebook to be able to quickly optimize. So we're moving at this point to purchase intent, so people who have purchase intent to buy your product. Again, 1 ad set per audience for each of those 4 to 5 audiences we created, and $5 a day budget and Facebook automated bidding. Okay, so that is how we go about setting up the stage 2 ads. And I will see you in the next videos where you can look over my shoulder how I go about doing this.